What if the most dangerous thing in your life isn't something you can see? What if a single word, just one, could build someone up or quietly destroy them? And what if the true measure of your spiritual maturity is revealed every time you open your mouth? There is a part of us so small yet so powerful that it can shape relationships, define our character, and even direct the course of our lives. It's not our strength. It's not our intelligence. It's not our success. It's our tongue. In Epistle of James chapter 3, verses 1 to 12, we are given a warning that feels just as urgent today as it did centuries ago. The message is clear. What we say matters more than we think. James begins with a sobering truth. Those who teach will be judged more strictly. Why? Because words carry influence. They guide people, shape beliefs, and leave lasting impact. But this isn't just for teachers. This is for all of us. Because every single one of us speaks, and every word we speak has weight. James says that we all stumble in many ways. But if anyone is never at fault in what they say, they are perfect, able to keep their whole body in check. Think about that. Control your words, and you can control your life. That's how powerful the tongue is. To help us understand this, James gives us vivid images. He talks about a bit placed in the mouth of a horse, a small piece of metal, yet it can guide a powerful animal wherever the rider wants. He talks about a ship, massive, strong, driven by fierce winds, yet steered by a small rudder wherever the pilot chooses. Small, but controlling something much bigger. And then he says the tongue is just like that. It may be small, but it makes great boasts. It has the power to direct the entire course of your life. Where your life goes is often shaped by what your mouth says. Your words influence your decisions. Your decisions shape your actions, and your actions define your future. But James doesn't stop there. He gives an even more intense image. The tongue is also like a fire, a small spark that can set an entire forest ablaze. Think about how quickly a fire spreads, how something so small can cause destruction beyond imagination. That's what careless words can do. One comment, one insult, one moment of anger, and suddenly relationships are broken, trust is shattered. Pain is created that can last for years. Words don't disappear after they're spoken. They echo, they stay in people's hearts, they shape how people see themselves. And sometimes they leave wounds that are invisible, but very real. James describes the tongue as a world of evil among the parts of the body. He says it corrupts the whole body and sets the whole course of one's life on fire. That's not an exaggeration. That's reality. How many lives have been changed, positively or negatively, because of words? A word of encouragement can lift someone out of darkness. A word of hatred can push someone deeper into it. Words have creative power and destructive power. And here's the challenge. The tongue is incredibly hard to control. James says no human being can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil, full of deadly poison. That might sound discouraging, but it's also honest. Because if you've ever tried to control what you say, you know how difficult it is. You promise yourself, I won't say that again, and then in a moment of frustration, it slips out. You regret it immediately. But the damage is already done. Why is it so hard? Because our words don't just come from our mouth, they come from our heart. What's inside us eventually comes out. Anger, pride, jealousy, bitterness. If those things live inside, they will show up in our speech. And that's why controlling the tongue isn't just about speaking differently, it's about becoming different on the inside. James points out something deeply contradictory. With the same tongue, we praise God and curse people who are made in his likeness. Out of the same mouth come blessing and cursing. He says, this should not be. It's like a spring producing both fresh water and salt water at the same time. It doesn't make sense. And yet, that's exactly how many people live. We worship on one day and tear people down the next. We speak kindness in public and harshness in private. We say we love God, but our words don't reflect his heart. This isn't just about behavior, it's about integrity. It's about alignment between what we believe and how we speak. Because if our faith is real, it should transform our words. So how do we begin to tame the tongue? First, we have to become aware. Pay attention to your words, not just what you say, but how you say it. Do your words bring life, or do they bring harm? Do they build people up, or tear them down? Do they reflect patience or impatience? Awareness is the first step toward change. Second, we need to slow down. Many of our worst words are spoken in moments of haste, when emotions are high and wisdom is low. Take a pause. Think before you speak. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Silence can prevent damage that words would cause. Third, we need to let God transform our hearts. Because again, the problem isn't just the tongue, it's what feeds it. If your heart is filled with peace, your words will reflect peace. If your heart is filled with love, your words will reflect love. Transformation starts from within, and God cares deeply about this. Because words are not just communication, they are reflection. They reflect who we are. They reflect what we value. They reflect what we truly believe. And when our words align with God's truth, they become powerful tools for good. Imagine what could happen if we truly controlled our tongues. If we spoke encouragement instead of criticism, truth instead of gossip, grace instead of judgment, kindness instead of harshness, we would change our relationships, we would change our environments, we would change our lives. Because words create atmosphere. They shape the spaces we live in. A home filled with kind words feels different than one filled with anger. A friendship built on honesty feels different than one filled with sarcasm and negativity. Your words matter more than you think. And the good news is, you can choose them. You may not be able to control every thought that enters your mind, but you can control what leaves your mouth. That's a choice, a daily choice, a moment-by-moment decision. And every time you choose wisely, you take a step toward maturity, a step toward becoming the person God is calling you to be. This doesn't mean you'll be perfect. You will still make mistakes. You will still say things you regret. But growth is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about becoming more intentional, more aware, more aligned. And over time, your words will begin to change, because your heart is changing. So today, take this seriously, not in fear, but in purpose. Recognize the power you carry every time you speak. Use it wisely. Use it to build, not destroy. To heal, not hurt. To encourage, not discourage. Because your words have the ability to reflect God's love in a world that desperately needs it. And that starts with you. Right now, in your next conversation, in your next response, in your next word, choose life, choose wisdom, choose control. Because when you tame your tongue, you begin to transform your life. Thank you for watching this video. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like, follow the channel, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it today.